What's the purpose behind the marketing plan? You excite, you educate, experience, and engage. Let's do this, right? Let's do this and let's have fun with it too. To my first-time listeners, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you being here. Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another edition of Let's Talk Marketing with In-Dub podcast, where I'm your host, Nathan Webster, and I'm excited to chop it up with you today. Today, for episode 211, I have a special guest that we are about to get it on. You know, I didn't even ask my man how I properly pronounce his first name. Is it Caulen?
Yeah, it's Caulen. It's Caulen.
Hey, I got it right. I got my man Caulen Foster from Brain Power Agency that he talks about. Well, he's going to talk about it, but he is going to break down an ecosystem that you may not even heard of, but you may heard some bits and pieces of it. But Caulen, welcome to the show, my man.
Thank you, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Absolutely. So for all my first-time listeners, thank you for joining the show. Love to have you. If you haven't already gone to the show or the show's website, you can go to letstalkmarketingpodcast.com to learn more, but it's in the show notes. If you are a worldwide listener, thank you for continuing to rocking with me for the last 7+ years. It's been a doozy, but you keep supporting me. You keep sharing. If y'all haven't already, for my first time and worldwide listeners, repeat listeners, please go to iTunes, leave a review, because folks just don't have the marketing fundamentals that is going to take their business to the next level, because this is why businesses are getting slaughtered. And that's what I'm providing. I don't talk about too much else, but marketing and leadership, because y'all, this is where business is going. So please leave a review on iTunes if you have an iTunes account, which anyone can get, so we can be on the newsworthy section of it, so we can continue to drop diamonds for you. So without further ado, let's get into the show, because again, I didn't even get my man's first name. So that means we didn't even talk about the title of the subject, because we don't script these. So Caulen, man, please introduce yourself and tell the listeners who you are and what you do.
For sure, man. Well, yeah, thanks again for having me. And yeah, we just to verify, we didn't script anything. We just literally hopped on. He said, "Hey, let's jump." So yeah, my name's Caulen Foster. I co-founded an agency named Brain Power back in late 2019, right before 2020. We specialize in building what we call ecosystems for online consumer brands and Amazon native brands. So basically, if you are a brand doing in the neighborhood of about $3 to $5 million in revenue, we come in with a hyper focus on profitability and scale you up profitably, which is pretty hard in the paid media, direct to consumer, world. And we do that through a mechanism called ecosystems. To make a long story short, most brands in that revenue range have probably built their business largely on paid advertising, right? Like they've done a lot through paid Meta, paid Google, things like that. And what will happen is right around 3 to 5 million, a lot of them start to see a dip. Whether that be because of the variable cost of traffic, because traffic is always getting more expensive, maybe performance is changing, and a lot of them end up basically kind of bouncing from agency to agency, trying to figure out why they're not getting the same ROAS, return on ad spend, that they were getting before, 2 years ago. And most of the time, I can tell you, 20% of that revolves around traffic. The other 80% is your ecosystem. The way I like to analogize it is, think of it as if, every planet or every ecosystem on the planet requires an energy source, right? And in your business, you need traffic, right? But trying to grow your business with traffic only is the equivalent of the rainforest trying to grow its trees with only sunlight. You need more than just sunlight. You need oxygen. You need a good soil. You need other parts of the ecosystem to make the traffic source, your energy source, work better. So it's not about trying to drive better or more traffic all the time. It's trying to make better, efficient use of the traffic you're already driving. So we basically compartmentalize it into 5 ecosystems: um, acquisition, retention, profit maximizer, um, uh, acquisition, retention, profit maximizer, traffic, and financial. And basically, we break it down into those 5, and we manage all 5 of those parts of your ecosystem, and with a hyper focus on profitability. And this year, we actually achieved a really great milestone. We hit 100 million under management in revenue. So every month or every year, we're managing about 100 million. It's actually probably going to go up because I have some pretty big brands
Congrats.
I'm talking to.
Congrats.
Yeah. So it's cool. But one thing I always tell people is like, yeah, the vanity metric is cool. But what's more important is we're seeing data, right? I always tell people, this is stuff I'm really seeing. We're really doing this. We're really spending, on Meta. We're really spending on Google. Google is actually probably our primary revenue driver right now on paid advertising, as opposed to Meta,
Shoot,
relative to a traffic platform.
as many times as they changed the algorithm last year, I mean, they, hopefully, because it's like they hate us marketers right now.
Yeah. It's one thing is keeping up with best practices is pretty tough. I see a lot of that's when it comes to finding an agency. It's like you have to find an agency that's really in best up to speed with best practices, and you really only know what best practices are if you're in the field. So it's
Right.
like, audience interest targeting is probably not something you want to be doing in 2024. And I've come across
What?
yeah. That's a whole different,
That's
bag
a
of
whole
potatoes.
nother
Yeah,
conversation then.
yeah, meet best practices. But I've come across 3 ad accounts on paid social, on Meta, from big brands, brands that are about to creep on the 8-figure mark. And again, they're seeing a downward trend. And I don't know how on God's name they even got there, because they're using like 2021 best practices, right?
Ooh.
So that can be where media buying comes in the equation, if your team is just if the people that you're working with just don't use best practices. But most, if you're at a brand of that size, you probably have some level of best practices, so you have to focus on other areas. But yeah, man, I mean, that's in a nutshell what we do. It gets really nerdy, and I can go down 5 ecosystems. I can go down 5 different rabbit holes really deep. um but but for the most part, one of the things that I'm really proud that we do is, I consider us a marketing agency first, right? Like we I always
Mm.
say that the biggest problem, in my opinion, with digital marketing in 2024 is there's too much digital and not enough marketing.
Oh,
And, I
great.
think, yeah, and I think that that's really where we shine, is like even on the media account, like from the traffic side, putting out good ads, putting out good advertisement, like understanding great copywriting, understanding what
Mm,
great content looks like, socially native content, what I call true GC versus UGC. So,
mm.
like, I can go. That's what I'm saying. That's just traffic. I can go down each one, but
Well,
that's
hold on. For
yeah,
those
yeah,
that
yeah,
say UGC is user generated content versus
yeah, yeah,
generated
yeah,
content, with AI coming into
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
game.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah.
don't want to speak over too many, what was it, what they call, not abbreviations. Um, oh,
Acronyms? Is it acronyms?
acronyms. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
We
yeah,
got
yeah, yeah,
all
yeah.
types of acronyms in
Yeah,
marketing.
we really do. And but the fact of the matter is, and I'll touch on that just real lightly so people understand the context of what I'm saying. UGC has really become uh it's really become just like fake testimonials. People buy you buy people's time. They give you some, hey, this, I call them game changer ads. Every product is a
What's
game
on
changer now.
Amazon?
Yeah. This product's a game changer. This product's a game changer. Amazon made me buy it. It's just a paid ad, from somebody that you just compensated them to do an ad for you. We created something that we call True GC, which is like socially native, like ads that we hire, like micro influencers that are actively posting, and they post content that's
Mm,
native
okay.
to the profile, to the platform. It's not just, hey, I use this product and it's amazing. It's also like creating really great content that people
It's
find
authentic.
engaging. It's authentic. So that's really where we have a hyper focus. And so when it comes to like marketing and your listeners, we have our roots run really deep, in actual advertising. My background is in direct response. So if anybody doesn't know what direct response, and you want to know, if you want to grow your business really fast, just look up direct response marketing, get a couple books, and you can scale very, very quickly. You can scale very, very quickly.
Well, That's a great that you went into that, because that's a good segue into you tell the folks, like, who are you, where are you at, matter of fact.
I'm in Miami. I'm in beautiful Miami. It's nice and sunny where I'm at. I've lived here my whole life. I got into marketing in e-commerce specifically in 2014. Random fact, I actually invented the almond protein industry in 2014. I found a way to basically extract the fat out of almonds using pressure, and then I took the base of that almond base and turned it into a protein powder. And so I started a website, and I didn't even know what a Facebook pixel was. I didn't know anything about, I didn't know anything like at all. And I really mean it. I didn't know anything about traffic. I didn't know anything. And I launched the product. I did a press release. That was the only form of marketing I understood. And I ended up on the
Right.
front page of PETA under,
Huh.
yeah, the company launches world's first almond protein powder. So if you look up like Almond Pro and my name, you'll see it. It's still up there. I have a screenshot of it. I always keep it, as a little memorandum or a memory thing for me. But I got some traffic that day, and I was like, wow, this online thing could be really cool, because I know that I just made a bunch of money real quick, but I can't sustain it because I know that article is not going to last there forever.
Right.
So
Right.
I basically hired a mentor, hired a consultant that kind of taught me the ropes. I was very fortunate to meet the guy that I met. It was a very crazy stroke of luck. That's a 30-minute story on how I just like stumbled into this guy randomly.
Hmm.
Um, and he had exited a couple companies already in the e-commerce space. Young guy, he's 22 at the time I met him. And he had already built multiple seven-figure e-commerce businesses. So direct to consumer. And basically, I paid him for his time and his consulting, and he's still one of my best friends to this day.
Wow.
And yeah, that's how I got into it. Hook, line, and sinker. 15 minutes into the consulting session, I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. And I just fell down the marketing rabbit hole. And then I got into direct response. That was my first entryway. I read a book called The Ultimate Sales Letter. Epic
I've
book.
heard of that. I've heard of
Epic
that.
book. If you want to get into learning how to write to sell, advertising copy, whether it be on static images or like if you're doing video ads, the ultimate
Hmm.
sales letter is like a great entry point to just learning how to write better and understanding how to create better advertising. Very simple read. And I remember like I was so hooked on the book. I was my mentor at the time. He also owned an agency, and I was doing work for him while I was paying him for consulting. I said, listen, man, I'm still going to pay you for consulting, but I'll work for free. I'll intern at your agency so that I can learn, like, because he had big clients. So I was like, I'll work for free at your agency while I'm paying you consulting, just so I can get in the back of these accounts and get real life,
Mm.
experience. And I remember I would drive up, it's about a 4 hour drive from where I was to
Oh, wow.
Orlando, and I would drive up every week. And I have kids, so I would have to, like, on the weekends I had my kids. I would come back down, and then I would drive back up, and then I would stay. I would crash on my buddy's couch up there, and I would basically work at the agency for free, pay him for consulting simultaneously. So like, and then it was cool because the things that I was learning in consulting, I could transition it into what we were
Right.
actively doing. So it was great. And I remember his business partner gave me the ultimate sales letter, and she was like, hey, you should read this book. I think this would really help you. And I remember I was so hooked on it. When I would walk to his office, I would literally be walking on the sidewalk in the middle of the street. And I really literally almost walked into traffic one time reading the ultimate sales letter because I was at a crosswalk and I
Oh,
wasn't paying
wow.
attention.
You
So
almost got
literally,
hit, bro.
yeah, literally. So it's that good of a book. But yeah, if anybody's looking to like just get better, at learning how to communicate to your customers and sell people things that they want, and get them to understand why they want it, how they want it, and how you're going to sell it to them. It's a great book. So yeah, that's my story, man. That's how I got into marketing, and how I've evolved into managing all these different brands. And it's all rooted in marketing. There's really no secret sauce. On the ad account helps, but it's if you understand marketing at a high level, you'll never have a problem selling, because all the platforms do is just send you traffic that's interested in what you want or what you're selling, more than likely.
Mm. And see, this is y'all when he's talking about different types of traffic in this ecosystem, and this is when I said the fundamental norm with outside the world of marketing, we call this omni-channel marketing.
Yeah.
but he has created his own sauce. And like I said, when you get into uh, certain agencies, companies, they do their own marketing lingo language. And I would say when I didn't tell you, but I teach at colleges, and when I
Hmm.
teach marketing, I say, hey, look, I can't give you a marketing plan because that's client confidentiality, but two, no one's going to give you their secret sauce. They're not
Yeah.
they're not going to tell you how they look. Google already has already got us, and we always got to play catch up. Or then you can say Yelp or Meta or now TikTok. These
Yeah.
platforms has huge engines and proprietary systems. So when Colin is talking about an ecosystem, that's something that he's developed. And so I love how you say you got 5 ecosystems. And I know we're running short on time, but if someone went to say, okay, after listening to you go on and impassioned about marketing, they want to work with you, like, is your services for startups? Is your services?
Well, it's tough because like one of the things that I always tell people, it's kind of funny because I'm one of the few agencies that probably turns away more businesses than I take, right?
Mhm.
I always say we're like very boutique by choice, and I'll tell you, startups like I'm doing consulting for a pretty well funded startup right now in the women's health space.
I like
Um,
how you said well-funded
yeah, yeah,
startup.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So that's that. There's two components to that question. And it's not just about me. It's about just like helping new business owners that think that they need an agency, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Because there's no shortage of agency owners that will sit up on a podcast and tell you how you need to hire an agency to drive traffic for you, right? But I kind of they all want your money. We all want money, but I
No.
pride myself on being
No.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I pride myself on really trying to help business owners mitigate their risk, right? And understanding that you probably can't buy
Good.
your way
Thank
out
you.
of the problem that you think um,
No.
you can. And that's actually it's actually one of the most important things. So what I would say, and again, I do work with startups. They do have to be kind of fun because our services they're not cheap because we manage the
Should not
entire
cheap.
business. It's like you literally give us the keys and we drive the whole business, right? Like on you got to think on a $7 million business. We're responsible for all of that. Like that's what we manage. We manage everything from the emails to the ads to the script writing, everything. So, that's a pretty big ecosystem. At a startup stage, you're building the ecosystem from scratch and you don't have any sunlight. You got no cash flow coming in, right? So you have to be able to absorb
Zero.
the zero. So you have to absorb the cost of not only traffic, you have to absorb the cost of agency services, you have to absorb the cost of testing. You're going to get yourself in, it's going to get expensive quick. So what I always tell people is before you really focus on hiring an agency at the startup phase, like meaning you have no product market fit, meaning you don't know if people even want your product or service yet, right? Develop a very string. The stuff that's free is more
Mhm.
impactful before you even hire an agency, right?
Fact.
Like if you're going to hire an agency, you can't rely on an agency solely to develop your marketing message because all like the ad account is most people think they need a Facebook ad account or Meta buying team. But what you need before you need that, all that is a vehicle that delivers your message. You as a business owner need to like discover what the message is that you want to bring to your customers. What's the problem that you're going to solve? What's the offer you're going to bring to the market? So like I know this question went, do we work with startups, but I want to like give people some nuggets
You're okay.
before
You're
but
okay.
before I go into selling my agency. I want to give people some real help because I see it every day, dude. I mean, I'm in the space heavy and I see how many people get burned, right? But it's really a mismanagement of expectations. Agencies want to take your money, you want to give it to them because you think you're going to buy your way out of into growing an online business. So you need a great offer in, especially if you're doing paid social. Paid social is what we call a demand creation channel. You have to create demand. People don't want it. Nobody goes on their phone with the intent to buy. It's like back in the day with direct response on TV. What made you say, you're sitting on the couch and you see the Chia Pet on TV or the clapper and
Infomercial.
infomercial, and what makes you go from watching the news to being like, honey, get my credit card, I'm going to buy this Chia Pet or this product, right? It's the same principle, it's just a different device. So you have to have a product that's like that has a chance, if the product is like doesn't have a very unique selling proposition, something that makes it unique. You got to have a product that has something unique that makes people want to buy, that makes them want to stop scrolling or changing the channel, so to speak, right? You got to have a great
Right.
offer. You got to have a great offer. You have to have a great marketing message. You have to solve a very specific problem. Those are the things that before, and the best part about that for a business that's early, that an agency can't do is that's free. Like it doesn't
Mm,
cost you anything to go do research on your
no,
audience. Go
no.
to what's the I always we use it literally every single day, and I can't believe I'm brain farting on it right now on the podcast. But answer the public, where you can it's a tool where you can ask type in a topic. If you're selling, I don't know, say creatine, I'm just making up a topic. You can go on creatine, and it's a very commoditized product, but you can find out all the questions people are asking about that product, so you get like nuggets. And like
Hmm.
those are the things that you need to do before, from a startup side, before hiring an agency. Now if you've got your marketing message out, like, go ahead.
And let me, I know we're running short on time, but I also
Yeah,
want to make sure to point out you can be in business for 20 years, but your marketing strategy could be a startup because all you could be doing
yeah,
is tactics.
100%, because it also depends, like, because let's say you're in business for 20 years and you're generating traffic from, if you're like, let's say you're a B2B business, right? You're doing stuff B2B, the way, or even the channel that you're doing marketing on
Oh,
changes.
facts.
Different strategies, right? Like the way I market on
Correct.
LinkedIn is a lot different than the way I market on Instagram.
Instagram.
So
Oh
so
God, yes.
your strategy has to be relative to like where you want to drive traffic. If And then you mostly really want to dial in predictable customer acquisition through some sort of strategy, right? Like before you start hiring an agency, you got to prove that people want the product. And I can tell you that, like,
Mm,
if people want
preach.
your product, if people want your product, they're gonna buy it. They're gonna buy it. It doesn't really matter how beautiful you're. Like, for example, I had a client of mine. She sells hair products for the scalp for African American women,
Mm.
and her website was cranking out 7 figures. We rebuilt her entire website. It was crank. The website had reviews in the catalog section of the
Oh,
website. Okay, like, because the coding was off. People were buying this stuff in
it didn't
droves.
care. It
Okay,
didn't matter.
they didn't care because they wanted the product, because the product is good, and she's got reviews, and she's using social media. She's using organic social media. When people want your product, they want your product. Now, when you sell a commoditized product, I'm selling water on Meta. It's not a demand creation type of channel, right? Like,
Mm.
it's not a demand creation type of product. Like, people see water all the time, So
Well, now that's business development, though. I mean, and that's the part where I gotta cut you out because we passed time, bro. You
yeah, yeah, for
you
sure, for
dropping
sure, for
you dropping so many diamonds. Y'all better go
sure.
back and listen to that because that's talking about he's talking about having what I will say a minimum viable product and know your audience, know your customer
Yeah,
avatar. I just talked about that as you
yep,
getting ready for Black Friday. I just talked about that in the Mother's Day versus the Father's Day spending,
yep,
understanding how to leverage promotion. And there's a difference between promotion and ads.
yep.
Colin just dropped so many diamonds on ads, and I don't know if you might not be able to afford them for some of these.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey,
like I
Colin,
said, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
no, you good. Go ahead and say this last part, and then tell them where they can find you at.
Yeah, so no, like I said, I think when it comes to just building a business in general, that a lot of you do, avatar is important, offer is important, all those things are really important. If people want to find me, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn. You can go. I think you'll have a link or something to my LinkedIn, but if not, you can just literally look up my name. I'm probably one of the few people that has my name spelled the way it's hard to pronounce sometimes. But the benefit of it is if you type in my first name, Caulen, and my last name Foster, I doubt there's going to be anybody else on LinkedIn that has that name. So I should pop right up. But I'm very active on LinkedIn. I post pretty much daily, just about anything marketing related. I'm sure anybody who's listening to this could probably gather I'm a huge marketing nerd. I do this all day, every day. I talk about it all day, every day. I'm obsessed with it. So, I'm always willing to connect with people. So yeah, that's a good way. And then if you want to find me on Instagram, it's at the Digital Maverick is my handle on Instagram.
I love it, man. Yeah, and these are the times when I said I'm totally okay going over time.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
but these are the things too for my listeners out there. or if you're not one of my listeners, you just tuned in one time, or whatever category you want to put yourself into. As you can tell, as I always say, marketing is my definition of marketing, going from the AMA, is an untamed beast that never sleeps. So it's always
Mm,
consuming. So you always have to produce. And Colin gets that, and he's going to do it for you in a way to where he keeps your, not just business, I'm just going to say your mental health at
yeah,
bay.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Ideally, right?
yeah, because since marketing never sleeps, you need to sleep. So you got to
Yeah,
find
yeah,
someone who has that passion and expertise, because hey, there's some sharks out there that can get you.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Colin, man, I just want to say thank you for coming on the show, dropping these diamonds. I
Of course,
gotta
man.
have you back,
For sure.
and so I'm looking forward to having you back on the show again. So thank you again. We'll have to have you back.
Awesome, brother. Thanks so much. I'm happy to do it whenever you're ready.
Absolutely, in Miami too, man. That's cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
maybe you got to come down here for this one.
right,
I got
right.
a
I can.
studio. I got a studio, man. We can film
Hey, don't threaten
it.
me with a good time. That's what's up. All right, y'all. Y'all heard it first here on Let's Talk Marketing with In-Depth Podcast. If you enjoyed the show, I will put Colin's information in the show notes, but you can reach out to him. Make sure you follow him, because I'm sure he's dropping diamond bombs
Hmm.
every day, all day. And as you can tell, he's just as passionate as I am. I got a brother from another mother over
Yeah, man.
there.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, so y'all go ahead and make sure you subscribe, make sure you follow him. But until next time, I wish you nothing but the best. So dream big and God speed. I'm out. What's the purpose behind the marketing plan? You excite, you educate, experience, and engage. Let's do this, right? Let's do this, and let's have fun with it too. To my first time listeners, thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you being here.